Italian is a Romance language spoken mainly in Europe, Italy, Switzerland, San Marino, Vatican City, as a second language in Malta, Slovenia and Croatia, by minorities in Eritrea, France, Libya, Monaco, Montenegro, and Somalia, and by expatriate communities in the Americas and Australia. Many speakers are native bilinguals of both standardized Italian and other regional languages. According to the Bologna statistics of the European Union, Italian is spoken as a native language by 59 million people in the EU, mainly in Italy, and as a second language by 14 million. Including the Italian speakers in non-EU European countries and on other continents, the total number of speakers is around 85 million. In Switzerland, Italian is one of 4 official languages. It is studied and learned in all the Confederation schools and spoken, as a native language, in the Swiss cantons of Ticino and Grigini and by the Italian immigrants that are present in large numbers in German and French-speaking cantons. It is also the official language of San Marino, as well as the primary language of the Vatican City. It is co-official in Slovenia and Istria and in Istria County in Croatia. The Italian language adopted by the state after the unification of Italy is based on Tuscan, which beforehand was a language spoken mostly by the upper class of Florentine society. Its development was also influenced by other Italian languages and by the Germanic languages of the post-Roman invaders. Italian is descended from Latin. Unlike most other Romance languages, Italian retains Latin's contrast between short and long consonants. As in most Romance languages, stress is distinctive. Among the Romance languages, Italian is the closest to Latin in terms of vocabulary. History, origins. The standard Italian language has a poetic and literary origin in the 12th century, and the modern standard of the language was largely shaped by relatively recent events. However, Italian as a language used in the Italian peninsula has a longer history. In fact, the earliest surviving texts that can definitely be called Italian are legal formulae from the province of Benevento that date from 960–963, although the Veronese riddle contains a late form of Vulgar Latin that can be seen as a very early Italian dialect. What would come to be thought of as Italian was first formalized in the early 14th century through the works of Tuscan writer Dante Alighieri, written in his native Florentine. Dante's epic poems, known collectively as the Commedia, to which another Tuscan poet Giovanni Boccaccio later affixed the title Divina, were read throughout Italy and his written dialect became the canonical standard that all educated Italians could understand. Dante is still credited with standardizing the Italian language, and thus the dialect of Florence became the basis for what would become the official language of Italy. Italian often was an official language of the various Italian states predating unification, slowly usurping Latin, even when ruled by foreign powers, even though the masses spoke primarily vernacular languages and dialects. Italian was also one of the many recognized languages in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Italy has always had a distinctive dialect for each city, because the cities, until recently, were thought of as city-states. Those dialects now have considerable variety. As Tuscan-derived Italian came to be used throughout Italy, features of local speech were naturally adopted, producing various versions of regional Italian. The most characteristic differences, for instance, between Roman Italian and Milanese Italian are the gemination of initial consonants and the pronunciation of stressed e, and of s in some cases, for example va bene alright is pronounced, va bene by a Roman, va bene by a Milanese. A casa at home is, ae casa for Roman and standard, ae casa for Milanese and generally northern. In contrast to the northern Italian language, southern Italian dialects and languages were largely untouched by the Franco-Occitan influences introduced to Italy, mainly by bards from France, during the Middle Ages but, after the Norman conquest of southern Italy, Sicily became the first Italian land to adopt Occitan lyric moods in poetry. Even in the case of northern Italian language, however, scholars are careful not to overstate the effects of outsiders on the natural indigenous developments of the languages. The economic might and relatively advanced development of Tuscany at the time gave its dialect weight, though the Venetian language remained widespread in medieval Italian commercial life. and Ligurian remained in use in maritime trade alongside the Mediterranean. The increasing political and cultural relevance of Florence during the periods of the rise of Medici's Bank, humanism, and the Renaissance made its dialect, or rather a refined version of it, a standard in the arts. Renaissance. Starting with the Renaissance, Italian became the language used in the courts of every state in the peninsula. The rediscovery of Dante's De Vulgari Eloquentia and a renewed interest in linguistics in the 16th century, sparked a debate that raged throughout Italy concerning the criteria that should govern the establishment of a modern Italian literary and spoken language. Scholars divided into three factions: the purists, headed by Venetian Pietro Bembo. The purists thought the Divine Comedy not dignified enough, because it used elements from non-lyric registers of the language. Nicola Squared Machiavelli and other Florentines preferred the version spoken by ordinary people in their own times. The courtiers, like Baldassare Castiglione and Gian Giorgio Trissino, insisted that each local vernacular contribute to the new standard. A fourth faction claimed the best Italian was the one that the papal court adopted, which was a mix of Florentine and the dialect of Rome. Eventually, Bembo's ideas prevailed, and the foundation of the Accademia della Crusca in Florence, the official legislative body of the Italian language, led to publication of Agnolo Monazzini's Latin tome Florus Italici Lingui Libri Novum in 1604, followed by the first Italian dictionary in 1612. Modern era. An important event that helped the diffusion of Italian was the conquest and occupation of Italy by Napoleon in the early 19th century. This conquest propelled the unification of Italy some decades after, and pushed the Italian language into a lingua franca used not only among clerks, nobility and functionaries in the Italian courts but also in the bourgeoisie. Contemporary times. Italian literature's first modern novel, I Promessi Sposi, by Alessandro Manzoni, further defined the standard by rinsing his Milanese in the waters of the Arno, as he states in the preface to his 1840 edition. After unification, a huge number of civil servants and soldiers recruited from all over the country introduced many more words and idioms from their home languages. Pentone comes from Lombard word penaton, etc. Only 2.5% of Italia Euro unregistered trademark S population could speak the Italian standardized language properly when the nation unified in 1861. Classification: Italian is a Romance language. It derives diachronically from Latin. It is part of the Italic branch of the Indo-European language family. Italian is related most closely to the other two Italo-Dalmatian languages, Sicilian and the extinct Dalmatian. Unlike most other Romance languages, Italian retains Latin's contrast between short and long consonants. As in most Romance languages, stress is distinctive. In particular, among the Romance languages, Italian is the closest to Latin in terms of vocabulary. Lexical similarity is 90% with French, 88% with Catalan, 85% with Sardinian, 82% with Spanish and Portuguese, 78% with Eto-Romance, and 77% with Romanian. Geographic distribution. Europe. Italian is the official language of Italy and San Marino and is spoken fluently by the majority of the country's populations. Italian is official, together with French, German and Romansh in Switzerland, with most of the 0.5 million speakers concentrated in the south of the country, in the cantons of Ticino and southern Graubuhn-Cortenden. Italian is the third most spoken language in Switzerland, and its use has modestly declined since the 1970s. Italian is also used in administration and official documents in Vatican City. Italian is widely spoken in Malta, where nearly two-thirds of the population can speak it fluently, making it the most spoken non-official language in Europe in 2005. Italian served as Malta's official language until 1934, while it is also recognized as an official language in Istria County, Croatia and Slovenia and Istria, where there are significant and historic Italian populations. Italian is also spoken by a minority in Monaco and France. Small Italian-speaking minorities can also be found in Albania and Montenegro. Africa. Due to heavy Italian influence during the Italian colonial period, Italian is still widely understood in the countries of Libya and Eritrea. Although it was the primary language since colonial rule, Italian greatly declined under the rule of Muammar Gaddafi, who expelled the Italian Libyan population and made Arabic the sole official language of the country. Nevertheless, Italian remains an important language in the education and economic sectors in Libya. In Eritrea, Italian is a principal language in commerce and the capital city Asmara still has an Italian language school. Italian was also introduced to Somalia through colonialism and was the sole official language of administration and education during the colonial period but declined after government, educational and economic infrastructure was destroyed in the Somali Civil War. Italian remains spoken as a second language by the elderly and the educated and is also used in the new federal government of Somalia. Italian was also used in administration in Ethiopia when the country was briefly occupied by Italy from 1936 to 1941. Immigrant communities, although over 17 million Americans are of Italian descent, only a little over 1 million people in the United States speak Italian at home. Nevertheless, an Italian language media market does exist in the country. In Canada, Italian is the second most spoken non-official language when Chinese languages are not combined, with over 660,000 speakers according to the 2006 census. In Australia, Italian is the second most spoken foreign language after the Chinese languages, with 1.4% of the population speaking it as their home language. Italian immigrants to South America have also brought a presence of the language to the continent. Italian is the second most spoken language in Argentina after the official language of Spanish, with 1.5 million speaking it natively, and Italian has also heavily influenced the dialect of Spanish spoken in Argentina and Uruguay, Rioplatense Spanish. Small Italian-speaking minorities on the continent are also found in Uruguay, Venezuela and Brazil. Education. Italian is widely taught in many schools around the world, but rarely as the first foreign language. In fact, Italian is considered the fourth most frequently taught foreign language in the world. According to the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, every year there are more than 200,000 foreign students that are learning the Italian language. They are distributed in the 90 institutes of Italian culture located around the world, or in the 179 Italian schools located abroad, or in the 111 Italian lecture sections belonging to foreign schools where Italian is taught as a language of culture. In the United States, Italian is the fourth most taught foreign language after Spanish, French and German, in that order. In Central East Europe Italian is first in Montenegro, second in Austria, Croatia, Slovenia, and Ukraine after English, and third in Hungary, Romania and Russia after English and German. But throughout the world, Italian is the fifth most taught foreign language, after English, French, German, and Spanish. In the European Union statistics, Italian is spoken as a native language by 13% of the EU population, or 65 million people, mainly in Italy. In the EU, it is spoken as a second language by 3% of the EU population, or 14 million people. In addition, among EU states, the Italian language is most likely to be learned as a second language in Malta by 61% of the population, as well as in Slovenia by 15% of the population, in Croatia by 14% of the population, Austria by 11% of the population, Romania by 8% of the population, and in France and Greece by 6% of the population. Italian is also one of the national languages of Switzerland, which is not a part of the European Union. The Italian language is well known and studied in Albania, another non-EU member, due to its historical ties and geographical proximity to Italy and to the diffusion of Italian television in the country. Influence and derived languages. From the late 19th to the mid-20th century, thousands of Italians settled in Argentina, Uruguay, southern Brazil, and Venezuela, where they formed a strong physical and cultural presence. In some cases, colonies were established where variants of regional languages of Italy were used, and some continue to use this regional language. Examples are Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil, where Italian is used, and the town of Chapilo near Puebla, Mexico. Each continues to use a derived form of Venetian dating back to the 19th century. Another example is Kokalish, an italiana Euro-Spanish pidgin once spoken in Argentina and especially in Buenos Aires, and lunfardo. Rioplatent Spanish, and particularly the speech of the city of Buenos Aires, has intonation patterns that resemble those of Italian languages, because Argentina has had a continuous large influx of Italian settlers since the second half of the 19th century, initially primarily from northern Italy. Then, since the beginning of the 20th century, mostly from southern Italy. Lingua franca. Starting in late medieval times, Italian language variants replaced Latin to become the primary commercial language in much of Europe and the Mediterranean Sea. These variants were consolidated during the Renaissance with the strength of Italian and the rise of humanism in the arts. During the Renaissance, Italy held artistic sway over the rest of Europe. All educated European gentlemen were expected to make the grand tour, visiting Italy to see its great historical monuments and works of art. It thus became expected that educated Europeans should learn at least some Italian. The English poet John Milton, for instance, wrote some of his early poetry in Italian. In England, Italian became the second most common modern language to be learned, after French. However, by the late 18th century, Italian tended to be replaced by German as the second modern language in the curriculum. Yet Italian loanwords continue to be used in most other European languages in matters of art and music. Within the Catholic Church, Italian is known by a large part of the ecclesiastical hierarchy, and is used in substitution for Latin in some official documents. The presence of Italian as the primary language in the Vatican City indicates use, not only within the Holy See, but also throughout the world where an episcopal seat is present. It continues to be used in music and opera. Other examples where Italian is sometimes used as a means of communication are in some sports and in the design and fashion industries. Dialects. Throughout Italy, regional variations of Standard Italian, called Regional Italian, are spoken. In Italy, almost all Romance languages spoken as the vernacular are Euro other than Standard Italian and distantly related, non-Romance languages spoken in border regions or among immigrant communities are Euro or often imprecisely called Italian dialects, even though they are quite different, with some belong to different branches of the Romance language family. The only exceptions to this are Sardinian, Ladin, and Friulan, which the law recognizes as official regional languages. The Corsican language is also related to Italian. Regional differences can be recognized by various factors: the openness of vowels, the length of the consonants, and influence of the local language. Phonology. Notes: between two vowels, or between a vowel and an approximant or liquid, consonants can be either single or geminated. Geminated consonants shorten the preceding vowel and the first geminated element is unreleased. For example, ifatu, ifatu. However, are always geminated word internally. Similarly, nasals, liquids, and sibilants are pronounced slightly longer before medial consonant clusters. Is the only consonant that cannot be geminated. /tdtsdzsz/ardenti alveolar, while /ln/are alveolar. The trill is sometimes reduced to a single vibration when not geminated, but it is not a flap, E3/4. Nasals assimilate to the point of articulation of whatever consonant they precede. For example, is realized as angstrom e. The distinction between and is neutralized before consonants and at the beginning of words. The former is used before voiceless consonants and before vowels at the beginning of words. The latter is used before voiced consonants. The two are only contrasted between two vowels within a word. According to Canaperi, though, the traditional standard has been replaced by a modern neutral pronunciation which always prefers when intervocalic, except when the intervocalic s is the initial sound of a word or a morpheme, if the compound is still felt as such, for example, presento versus presento. There are many words in which dictionaries now indicate that both pronunciations with and with are acceptable. The two phonemes have merged in many regional varieties of Italian either into or. Geminate can be pronounced as single, s. Italian has a typical Romance language 7-vowel system, consisting of slasher, e, I, e, o, u/, as well as 23 consonants. Compared with most other Romance languages, Italian phonology is conservative, preserving many words nearly unchanged from Vulgar Latin. Some examples: Italian quattuordicesimo 14, Latin quattuordecim, Italian settimana week, Latin septima namine / Catalan setmana, Italian medesimo same, Vulgar Latin medi, p, simum, Italian guadafna to win, earn, gain, Vulgar Latin guadagni. Read Germanic. The conservativeness of Italian phonology is partly explained by its origin. Italian stems from a literary language that is derived from the 13th century speech of the city of Florence in the region of Tuscany, and has changed little in the last 700 years or so. Furthermore, the Tuscan dialect is the most conservative of all Italian dialects, radically different from the Gallo-Italian languages less than 100 miles to the north. The following are some of the conservative phonological features of Italian, as compared with the common Western Romance languages. Some of these features are also present in Romanian. Little or no lenition of consonants between vowels, for example vata vita life, pedempede foot. Preservation of doubled consonants, for example anamano year. Preservation of all Proto-Romance final vowels, for example paisum pace peace, octa otto 8 / far car fasci I did. Preservation of intertonic vowels. This accounts for some of the most noticeable differences, as in the forms quattuordici and settimana given above. Lack of various consonant deformations, for example folia Italo-Western foglia leaf. Compared with most other Romance languages, Italian has a large number of inconsistent outcomes, where the same underlying sound produces different results in different words, for example laxare lascia and lasser, capture recapture and casser, da rotila restructure, druzelaire and ruzelaire, ragana regina and reina, si and, ti and. Although in all these examples the second form has fallen out of usage, the dimorphism is thought to reflect the several hundred-year period during which Italian developed as a literary language divorced from any native-speaking population, with an origin in 12th/13th century Tuscan but with many words borrowed from languages farther to the north, with different sound outcomes. Some other features that distinguish Italian from the Western Romance languages: Latin say, si becomes /te florin e, te florin I / rather than. Latin ct becomes rather than or, octa otto 8. Vulgar Latin cl becomes cchi rather than, oclamachio I. Final is not preserved, and vowel changes rather than are used to mark the plural: amico, amici male friend, s, amica, amic female friend, s, male friend, s, amiga, s, female friends. Tra s, sexita, seri 3, 6. Standard Italian also differs in some respects from most nearby Italian languages, perhaps most noticeable is the total lack of metaphony, a feature characterizing nearly every other Italian language. No simplification of original writing system. The Italian alphabet has only 21 letters. The letters are Euro J, K, W, X, Y Euro are excluded, though they appear in loan words such as jeans, whiskey and taxi. The letter Euro ZA Euro has become common in Standard Italian with the prefix extra, alfostra is traditionally used. The letter Euro JA Euro originated as an archaic orthographic variant of a Euro ea Euro. It appears in the first name Jacopo and in some Italian place names, such as Bajado, Bajano, Jopolo, Gesù, Zolo, Jasi, Ajaccio, among numerous others. It also appears in Marchionio, an alternative spelling of Marnio. The letter Euro JA Euro may appear in dialect or words, but its use is discouraged in contemporary Standard Italian. The foreign letters can be substituted with phonetically equivalent native Italian letters and digraphs, a Euro G a Euro or a Euro gay Euro for a Euro JA Euro. A Euro car Euro or a Euro car Euro for a Euro car Euro. A Euro o Euro, a Euro a Euro or a Euro va Euro for a Euro wa Euro. A Euro za Euro, a Euro sa Euro, a Euro za Euro, a Euro ZZ a Euro or a Euro XA Euro for a Euro ZA Euro. and a euro or a euro for a euro. The acute accent is used over a euro to indicate a stressed front close mid-vowel, as in purchase copyright, why, because. In dictionaries, it is also used over a euro to indicate a stressed back close mid-vowel. The grave accent is used over a euro to indicate a front open mid-vowel, as in tar-t. The grave accent is used over any vowel to indicate word final stress, as in gioventa to the first youth. Unlike a W euro, a stressed final a euro is always a back open mid-vowel, making a euro cubed a euro unnecessary outside of dictionaries. Most of the time, the penultimate syllable is stressed. But if the stressed vowel is the final letter of the word, the accent is mandatory, otherwise it is not and virtually always omitted. Exceptions are typically either in dictionaries, where all stressed vowels are commonly marked if they are either in a syllable other than the penultimate, or are an E or an O. Alternatively, accents could be included to disambiguate words that differ only by stress, as for principi princes, and principi principles, or LNCORA anchor, and anchor squared ra still yet. For monosyllabic words, the rule is different. When two identical monosyllabic words with different meanings exist, the accent is compulsory on one and forbidden on the other. Rare, polysyllabic words can have doubtful stress. Istanbul can be accented on the first or second syllable. The U.S. state name Florida is pronounced in Italian as in Spanish with stress on the second syllable. Because of an Italian word with the same spelling but different stress and because of the English pronunciation, most Italians pronounce Florida with stress on the first syllable. Dictionaries give the latter as an alternative pronunciation. The letter ha distinguishes ho, hi, ha, hano from o, I, a, ano. In the spoken language, the letter is always silent. The ha in ho additionally marks the contrasting open pronunciation of the o. The letter ha is also used in combinations with other letters. No phoneme, h, exists in Italian. In nativized foreign words, the ha is silent. For example, hotel and hovercraft are pronounced and respectively. The letters a and a can symbolize voiced or voiceless consonants. A symbolizes or depending on context, with few minimal pairs. For example, zanzara mosquito, and Nasian nation a symbolizes word initially before a vowel, when clustered with a voiceless consonant, and when doubled. It symbolizes when between vowels and when clustered with voiced consonants. Intervocalic a varies regionally between and. The letters a and a ga vary in pronunciation between plosives and affricates depending on following vowels. The letter a symbolizes when word final and before the back vowels a, o, where euro. It symbolizes as in chair before the front vowels a e, a. The letter a ga symbolizes when word final and before the back vowels a, o, where euro. It symbolizes as in gem before the front vowels a e, a. Other Romance languages and, to an extent, English have similar variations for a c, ga. Compare hard and soft c, hard and soft g. The digraphs a ca and a r indicate a preserve hardness before a I, a. The digraphs a c and a g indicate or preserve softness before a o, where euro. For example, note, a ha is silent in the digraphs a ca a r. And a e is silent in the digraphs a c and a g before a o, where euro unless the a e is stressed. For example, it is silent in ciao and silo, but it is pronounced in famesa and pharmacy. Italian has geminate, or double, consonants, which are distinguished by length and intensity. Length is distinctive for all consonants except for, which are always geminate, and, which is always single. Geminate plosives and affricates are realized as lengthened closures. Geminate fricatives, nasals, and are realized as lengthened continuants. There is only one vibrant phoneme, but the actual pronunciation depends on context and regional accent. Generally one can find a flap consonant, E3/4 in unstressed position, whereas R is more common in stressed syllables, but there may be exceptions. Especially people from the northern part of Italy may pronounce as E-euro, E, or E. Of special interest to the linguistic study of Italian is the gorgia toscana, or Tuscan throat, the weakening or lenition of certain intervocalic consonants in the Tuscan language. The voiced post-alveolar fricative is only present in loan words, for example, garage, e-re. Assimilation. Italian phonotactics do not usually permit verbs and polysyllabic nouns to end with consonants, excepting poetry and song, so foreign words may receive extra terminal vowel sounds. Grammar. Italian grammar is typical of the grammar of Romance languages in general. Cases exist for pronouns, but not for nouns. There are two genders. Nouns, adjectives, and articles inflect for gender and number. Adjectives are sometimes placed before their noun and sometimes after. Subject nouns generally come before the verb. Subjective pronouns are usually dropped, their presence implied by verbal inflections. Noun objects come after the verb, as do pronoun objects after imperative verbs and infinitives, but otherwise pronoun objects come before the verb. There are numerous contractions of prepositions with subsequent articles. There are numerous productive suffixes for diminutive, augmentative, pejorative, attenuating etc., which are also used to create neologisms. There are 3 regular sets of verbal conjugations, and various verbs are irregularly conjugated. Within each of these sets of conjugations, there are 4 simple verbal conjugations by person number in the indicative mood, 2 simple conjugations in the subjunctive mood, 1 simple conjugation in the conditional mood, and 1 simple conjugation in the imperative mood. Corresponding to each of the simple conjugations, there is a compound conjugation involving a simple conjugation of to be, or to have followed by a past participle. Examples: conversation, numbers, days of the week, sample texts. There is a recording of Dante's Divine Comedy read by Lino Pertile available at http://etcwebprinceton.edu/pdp/. See also. References and notes. Bibliography: Rogers, Derek. D'Arcangeli, Luciana. Italian. Journal of the International Phonetic Association 34, 117 Euro 121 doi, 10.1017 per second 0025100304001628 M. Vitali, Study di Storia della Lingua Italiana, Led Edizioni Universitarie, Milano, 1992, ISBN 88-7916-015-X, S. Morgana, Capital ID Storia Linguistica Italiana, Led Edizioni Universitarie, Milano, 2003, ISBN 88-7916-211-X, J. Kinder, CLIC, Cultura. E Lingua d'Italia in CD-ROM/Culture and Language of Italy on CD-ROM, Interlineare, Navua, 2008, ISBN 978-88-8212-637-7, external links, Swadesh list in English and Italian, Italian proverbs, Learn Italian, Molto bene, Learn Italian, BBC, online English-Italian translation, USA Foreign Service Institute Italian Basic Course, Map of Speaking Italian Communities in the World, italofonia.org.